Yeah, everybody just jump in. I'll play like a minute or so at a time, the most interesting portions, make mental notes, write down, and then let's discuss, dude, because I think we're going to get the creative juices flowing if we do that. Plus, we'll pull a lot more from just listening it all the way through while we're doing during the day. That's, already a distraction in and of itself. So let's see.
Is not intended as an exhaustive treatise on the much written upon subject of the power of thought. It is suggestive rather than explanatory, its object being to stimulate men and women to the discovery and perception of the truth that they themselves are makers of themselves, by virtue of the thoughts which they choose and encourage, that mind is the master weaver, both of the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstance, and that, as they may have hitherto woven in ignorance and pain, they may now weave in enlightenment and happiness. James Allen, Broad Park Avenue, Ilfracombe, England. As a man thinketh. Thought and character. The aphorism, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he," not only embraces the whole of a man's being, but is so comprehensive as to reach out to every condition and circumstance of his life. A man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. As the plant springs from, and could not be without, the seed, so every aspect of a man springs from the hidden seeds of thought, and could not have appeared without them. This applies equally to those acts called spontaneous and unpremeditated as to those which are deliberately executed. Act is the blossom of thought, and joy and suffering are its fruits. Thus does a man garner in the sweet and bitter fruitage of his own husbandry. Thought in the mind hath made us. What we are by thought was wrought and built. If a man's mind hath evil thoughts, pain comes on him, as comes the wheel the ox behind. If one endure in purity of thought, joy follows him, as his own shadow, sure. Man is a growth by law, and not a creation by artifice, and cause and effect is as absolute and undeviating in the hidden realm of thought as in the world of visible and material things. A noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is the natural result of continued effort in right thinking, the effect of long-cherished association with godlike thoughts. An ignoble and bestial character, by the same process, is the result of the continued harboring of groveling thoughts. Man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thoughts he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace. By the right choice and true application of thought, man ascends to the divine perfection. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. Between these two extremes are all the grades of character, and man is their maker and master. Of all the beautiful truths pertaining to the soul which have been restored and brought to light in this age, none is more gladdening or more fruitful of divine promise and confidence than this, that man is the master of thought, the molder of character, and the maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. As a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the lord of his own thoughts, man holds the key to every situation, and contains within himself that transforming and regenerative agency by which he may make himself what he wills. Man is always the master, even in his weaker and most abandoned state. But in his weakness and degradation he is the foolish master who misgoverns his household. When he begins to reflect upon his condition, and to search diligently for the law upon which his being is established, He then becomes the wise master, directing his energies with intelligence and fashioning his thoughts to fruitful issues. Such is the conscious master, and man can only thus become by discovering within himself the laws of thought, which discovery is totally a matter of application, self-analysis, and experience. Only by much searching and mining are gold and diamonds obtained, and man can find every truth connected with his being, if he will dig deep into the mine of his soul.
Thoughts? Jump in
I
whenever.
find it interesting the similarities in certain philosophies because the quote that I have on the school group is actually similar to that, which is that we are is the result of what we have thought. And that was Buddha. And I mean, it continues as it is founded on our thoughts and made up of our thoughts. If a man speak or act with an evil thought, suffering follows him as the wheel follows the hoof of the beast that draws the wagon. I just thought it was interesting. Similarity.
No, that's probably where he's referencing it all from as well. At least,
Because I've been a somewhat practitioner of Buddhism since like 2001, mostly for the meditation stuff and my anger management. But I do find it interesting all these other philosophies that tend to tie into Buddhism. I think truth is just truth. It doesn't really matter where it comes from.
I just think it's such a simple book, especially the beginning here, where it's simple cause and effect. It's what you're feeding your mind,
mm-hmm.
and it's crazy how much of that affects your life. Where if you want better conversations with people or with women, well, what are you taking into your own mind? Because you can't give them anything if you're not taking anything in yourself. It's impossible. So it's same with anybody trying to overcome addiction. Well, it's like, well, what are you feeding your mind that's causing you to do it? And if you cut that off, you'll find out that it's not as difficult to overcome because you're feeding your mind much better things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like part of it. Okay, so the guys that undergo the Spartan Challenge and try to cut off their former addictions end up with things like, the comment when I see is video games. I don't know what to do with my time. That's what they all say. And when I have nothing to do with my own time, when I'm bored, my mind immediately goes to my addiction. So it's feeding your mind instead of what you used to do, the addiction to pass time. You have to replace it with something else completely, which we obviously struggle with because we've lived entire lives of one form or another addicted to something. And now when we cut all those things off and try to discover ourselves for the first time, think about who you are, what you want, what you like, have power over your desires, the animalistic ones like cheap, free dopamine from porn, from video games, from whatever it is that you're consuming. It's extremely difficult. We're not taught any of this, man. Unfortunately, this is what makes the average existence for the average person, man or woman in the world today. We're from kids. The moment you turn on the TV, advertisements, right? Cartoon shows, all the superficial things, your parents buying you video games and like putting a Game Boy in your hand and, boom, a console or God knows, whatever it is. That starts from like the age of a child. You have screens in front of you that are designed to be addictive, keep your eyes on them, constantly engaging with them. And you go into adulthood without even knowing, like, you have these problems before you even figured out who you were, before self-awareness really hit you. Where is the point where somebody arrives into adulthood and like they have like a lightning rod effect where they're jolted into like, oh shit, self-awareness just hits them in the face. And they're like, who am I? What is my purpose here? What am I doing? How did I become this person? Why do I like what I like? How much has the world influenced me and who I am today? Good or bad. Nobody goes through it. There's people, this is the scariest shit, man. There's people that go to their graves without ever finding that out. They've lived their entire life on autopilot.
Oh,
That's
sounds like hell.
insane. Yeah, without knowing. It's hell without even knowing. Maybe that's where ignorance is bliss comes from. It's insanity to me that you could be 70 years old on your deathbed and you live that life of, I just worked really hard, provided for my family, put in 30, 40 years at this company, retired, lived another 5 years, then I die. You went through the assembly process of like college, job, family, work till you're dead. That's it. That's your life. How can you possibly, I don't know how people do it their entire lives. A lot of people tend to get, I would say, the wake up call. We call it a midlife crisis. The guy's fucking 45, 50 years old and he goes, fuck, dude, I don't even know what I am and what I like. Buys a Corvette. Like he goes to that thing that was his,
Right.
like his boyish, the boyish intuition of like, I want the red fast car. You're 50 and you're like the only dreams you have, the things you ever like that you formulated as a child is the thing that you can afford to do now. But you don't even know who you are as an adult, as a man, dude. You're 50 years old. And when I ask you, who are you? All you have to give is like your job. Your identity is your work. Your identity is just identifying, well, I'm a father of blah. My name is John Doe. I'm from this city. I didn't ask you what city you're from. I didn't ask you what your name was. I asked you who you are. And nobody can, they never have an answer for it. It's crazy. And I don't know, dude. You factor in now dating and women, and let's say it is a function of IQ, and you get yourself a woman that is pretty much on autopilot. So she does take her cue from externalities, and then maybe you don't have the experience or whatever it is needed to vet a woman properly, or you just really want to start a family, or you got, this is your first woman and head over heels in love, and then just you marry this person. And then you wake up like, oh my God, after the kids left the house and the empty nest syndrome happened, she divorced me and left. And I don't know what happened. We were happy. It's like, were you though? Or was she happy with the idea of getting married, but not actually being married? Was she happy with the idea of having a husband, but not with the actual husband? Is she just on autopilot going through the motions? Like society told me this is what I do. Same shit for men.
Yeah, and now that mission's over, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
What's my next purpose?
Yeah, purpose, dude. Everybody lacks purpose in the world today. We don't know what we bring to the table in general for society and for the people around us, our relationships. I mean, go to a table. Women complain about this the most. When a woman asks, so what do you like? And what do you like to do? Like, you've heard that women complain that men will literally not stop talking about their jobs and their entire identity is wrapped in their work. Everything, who they are is just their work. Like, do you know how superficial that is? Like how much how much depth you lack as a man. When if somebody asks you, who are you? What do you like to do? Like the only thing you can really talk about is work. Well, okay, well, besides work, what do you like to do? Well, I guess I like to watch like this is how surface level a lot of people are today. It's scary, man, to find someone with self-awareness, somebody that critically thinks, somebody that's broken through the, like the NPC nature of whatever it is, autopilot living today. It's extremely difficult, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. There are plenty of beautiful women out there, not many very self-aware ones. There's a lot of men out there living on autopilot, just consuming. That's why the state of society is, what it is today. That's why so many dudes are addicted to porn. That's why so many dudes are addicted to video games. They're addicted to drugs. They're addicted to alcohol. They're addicted to whatever the fuck it is. It's all autopilot level thinking. No goal set in life. They're okay with a crappy job. They're okay with a average chick. She's probably not good for the long term, but hey, better than nothing. At least I'm getting laid. At least I'm getting a paycheck every week. At least this and that. That's autopilot thinking. Let's play some more and then see what we get.
And that he is the maker of his character, the molder of his life, and the builder of his destiny. He may unerringly prove if he will watch, control, and alter his thoughts, tracing their effects upon himself, upon others, and upon his life and circumstances, linking cause and effect by patient practice and investigation, and utilizing his every experience, even to the most trivial everyday occurrence, as a means of obtaining that knowledge of himself which is understanding, wisdom, power. In this direction, as in no other, is the law absolute that he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. For only by patience, practice, and ceaseless importunity can a man enter the door of the temple of knowledge. Effect of thought on circumstances. Man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein, and will continue to produce their kind. Just as a gardener cultivates his plot, keeping it free from weeds and growing the flowers and fruits which he requires, so may a man tend the garden of his mind, weeding out all the wrong, useless, and impure thoughts, and cultivating toward perfection the flowers and fruits of right, useful, and pure thoughts. By pursuing this process, a man sooner or later discovers that he is the master gardener of his soul, the director of his life. He also reveals within himself the laws of thought and understands with ever-increasing accuracy how the thought forces and mind elements operate in the shaping of his character, circumstances, and destiny. Thought and character are one, and as character can only manifest and discover itself through environment and circumstance, the outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to be harmoniously related to his inner state. This does not mean that a man's circumstances at any given time are an indication of his entire character, but that those circumstances are so intimately connected with some vital thought element within himself that, for the time being, they are indispensable to his development. Every man is where he is by the law of his being. The thoughts which he has built into his character have brought him here, and in the arrangement of his life there is no element of chance, but all is the result of a law which cannot err. This is just as true of those who feel out of harmony with their surroundings as of those who are contented with them.
Thoughts on that portion right there?
I just really like the thought about the mind being a garden, and it's just how you cultivate it. It's really that simple. What do you put in the soil, and then what do you do when things start growing? And really, it just made. I just love this book because he just makes it so simple how to control your mind and control your thoughts.
How many guys here feel content or where they are right now? How many guys? Anybody?
I would say I
No.
wouldn't say content as much as so like I have things that I'm working towards, but I can accept the both the place I'm the things that are due to my own mistakes that are due to this, that, or whatever, right? So like I would say I accept, but I wouldn't say when I would say content is a fair word as well, but I wouldn't say I'm complacent. I don't know, but that's
content,
all
just no semantics, just period. Are you content where you are at right now? Period. So no, right? That natural inclination would be no. If I were to ask you, yeah, yours in general, like right now, just natural inclination is no. Like no term defying, nothing. Just are you content right now? Essentially, are you happy? You're happy where you're at in life right now.
I'm great. I'm grateful.
Great, right. But see, again, so not happy though. Grateful because I have this, I have that, that's fine, but not where you want to be is deep underneath that, right? Because if you were content, you'd say, yeah, I'm content. I'm chasing my goals. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm always striving for more. I'm putting in the work to get to where I want to be. So we know by what you just answered, some of those, whatever it is not ringing true at the current moment. You're striving for more, but there's things that could be better. So that means you're not content. Okay. Now, since you're not content where you're at right now, and you are aware, because all the guys in here are dealing with the same thing, the reason we're in here, the reason we're putting in this kind of work is because content is not what we're feeling right now. We know we're capable of more. And the next step is, what are we doing to change that? How aware are we of our shortcomings? Because it's an ego hit when you say, admitting to yourself, because of my actions, because of who I am, because of my habits, I'm in the exact place I'm in right now. I know I could be better. It's hard to look in the mirror and admit this as a man. I have weaknesses and they're holding me back in life. I could have walked so much further in my accomplishments had I fixed, and then let your brain fill in the blank. We all have those weaknesses. Everybody has different answers to it. But are we taking the next step? This is the self-awareness portion. Are we waking up every day cognizant of the weaknesses that we have and working towards turning them into strength, fixing, plugging the holes in the wall? So thoughts on that, what I've said right there. Is there anybody here that's like willing to say, I have this weakness, this is my problem, here's what I'm dealing with? It's not easy to say out loud. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm there. I got that. My thing right now is I'm chasing after some degrees and all that. And from childhood, my mom was a substitute teacher, and I brought home an F because parents going through a divorce. It was tough, all that childhood trauma stuff, and just that thing from third grade keeps me from hitting the books, and so I procrastinate, and just tough to get to the books. Just be, man, I'm 41 years old. You know what I mean? I'm still working on all those things. So, it's a constant battle. It's a constant struggle. You got to wake up and be there for yourself every day.
I love that. Yeah. Anybody else want to add to to that?
I'm currently in the
Yeah,
middle of doing my push-ups, sit-ups, and squats as we speak.
Nice.
And I should have been doing this fucking years ago. I'm having to build up. I started, 3 weeks ago? Only being able to do 20 wall push-ups, 5 sit-ups, and 5 squats. I'm up to 15 squats, 15 sit-ups, and 40 wall push-ups.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm happy with the progress I've made, but I'm still pissed off that it took me this long to get to this point.
Okay. What is, okay, so the anger, so tell me about it. What is making you angry? Like, what specifically is evoking that emotion? Like you say, it's making me angry, pissed that it took this long. What is that? Is it the agency you found that you had, the power to make the change, like how easy it is to just implement day to day? Like, what is it specifically? Some fear that was holding you back before? Like, what is it?
I'm just pissed that I was as lazy as I was. Like with, like I would go in and every week play like fucking anywhere from 20 to 60 hours of playing video games for like 2 years there after high school. I very easily could have been going in and investing into my device modification business thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even way back then, I could have been exercising more than I was. And, from what I've been doing, it's not difficult, really. I mean, yesterday I fucked up. I didn't go for my walk, but I had the shits. I have an exercise bike. I should have gotten on it. I didn't. And my diet was starting to slip a tiny bit, but this morning, 4 eggs exclusively. Didn't taste bad. Filling. I'm not hungry. Doing my cardio right now. It's not difficult. So it's just the ease of things compared to, not doing it. It's not any more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I should have been fucking doing this before.
Did you have an idea?
Better.
Yeah. Did you have an idea in the past that it would be too difficult of a challenge to like undertake? Like, I'm not that guy. I don't do that stuff. That's not who I am kind of feeling.
Yeah. Kind of.
Okay. And then now that you're doing it and making even the progress you're making right now, is the anger coming from the fact that you're shattering that idea you had of yourself as like in real time? You're seeing that you can become it?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's very,
because it's like, like after I started fencing back in like 2021, give or take, it was like I went from feeling like garbage to feeling much, much better. But that's just because of the aerobics from the fencing. And now that, I go out and take a walk for the cardio, I come home, do the squats, push-ups, and sit-ups for extra cardio. I'm getting stronger, faster. Things are getting easier. I'm not having to like fucking heave as hard as I used to.
mm-hmm.
It's just I generally am calmer overall. And it's like, damn, I really fucking should have done this like 4 years ago, minimum.